Testing? Good. Good. I would like to note that all directors are present except for Director Phillips. Then we'll move on to approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I will move.
I'll second it.
Okay. Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion passes. Move on to public comment. Mrs. Sevi, are there any members of the public here for comment? Apparently not.
None online or in person.
All right. And then none online either. Okay, we'll move on to community reports. Do we have any representatives from the community? Looks like none of them either. That was quick. Move on to consent items. Does anyone have any consent items they would like to pull? And if not, is there a motion to approve the consent items?
I will motion the consent items.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes. We'll move on to presentations and appointments, there were not any. Move on to continued new agenda items. Item 6A, Ms. Sevi.
Yeah, so the county superintendent of schools reached out to the district to see if we would be interested in some free interns. So we did a similar program a few years ago, actually more than a few years ago now, pre-COVID, where the county paid for us to have one field staff member and one office staff member. It was for 6 weeks, very successful. This time it's being ran through the county superintendent of schools. Basically, they have a program where students are enrolled in more of like a workforce development type pathway. And they've identified a bunch of local students that are looking for somewhere to intern over the summer. And they would like to place 1 or 2 with the district. They do pay for their workers' comp insurance. They do all the background screening. They assist with scheduling. And then, of course, they pay the salary. So if the board is interested, the contract is attached, and we could begin the process of interviewing and onboarding some summer interns.
Any questions for Ms. Sevi?
Just one. So one for field and one for office potentially?
Potentially, or it might be both field or both office, just depending on how all the placements work out. Might even get an engineering intern, who knows? Somebody's interested in that.
Okay.
Solid waste.
I remember we did this, but it was quite a few years ago.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Do you pick the 2 students, or do they pick the 2 that come here?
They just send me basically their resume, so what they're interested in, and then I just spoke with them on the phone last time. Figured out what their schedule was.
It's local, this high school, correct?
Yeah, so it may
Yeah.
not be Serrano, but it could be from Chaparral, it could be
Okay,
from
yeah.
the Snowline School, it could be from their CTE program.
Seems
yeah,
like,
local
seems like a
students.
good program. I think to get them some experience and help us out.
I'm
Yeah.
definitely in support of it. It's always good to show the new generation what a public servant is and that there's some job opportunities here and kind of how government works. Our last intern that I had in the office, she wanted to go into politics. And so she got to deal with the public, with customer service. I brought her to board meetings. I took her out to some of our community events. We actually had an ASB CSD meeting we hosted that year. And she was out there, met a lot of our local legislators, and she ultimately decided she did not want a career in politics, but that she really liked administrative and finance type work.
Check it off.
So it kind of helped set her career pathway at college, and she's very thankful for it.
Awesome.
I will make a motion to move the item.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Update on the Civic Center and EOC project, park expansion project, and park enhancement project. Mr. Cardenas.
Good evening, thank you. Can you hear me?
We can.
Good, sorry about that. There isn't much to update other than the engineer and the architects are working on the plans to comply with the FEMA requirements with the elevation on the pad and flood-proofing the building as well. We do have a meeting with FEMA tomorrow just to kind of tidy up on the additional costs for the project on the revision. They want to include that in their application. They call it the FMRS, whatever that might be. So it should be a quick meeting tomorrow, but the engineer has stated it was like a 2-month revision on his part, and that's to regrade the site, the take on the 14 acres to build up this pad, and then to redo the earth calculations to determine how much earth we're going to be moving. And that is part of their request from FEMA at our last meeting, was to have that available, but there would be a wait for that. I mean, that's 2 months. So they kind of just disregarded that and just wanted to make sure that we had a letter from the engineer and the architects that we would comply with the preliminary layout and elevations to move forward with this project. So there's a lot of triggers in this, and we're kind of moving forward a little bit quicker than we at first anticipated a month ago, when we thought we were going to revisit FEMA in 2 months with plans before submittal to the county for review.
How are we doing with NEPA? Are we?
That Liburn, who's working on the NEPA, has not paused during this whole period. She was moving forward with the assumption with the elevation. So her portion is probably the most complete to be submitted over to FEMA. First, it was stated that they were 70%. Quickly that same day, they confirmed that they were closer to 95%. So they're almost complete with that. So they made some assumptions to move forward with the elevation change, and it's good for them, because that's usually a delay. They have to deal with their consultants and coordinate their schedule to complete their portions. So, with that,
Lots of moving pieces for you.
there is, absolutely there is. I think one thing I want to mention, the new Joshua Tree, the Western Joshua Tree Conservation Plan was completed, and I made that in the manager's report at the last board meeting, where the update was. We had a meeting with the engineer that developed the plan. We had stated that it was a cost-effective plan, but not quite as what we first anticipated. What used to be 162 Joshua trees are now 1,950-ish. Now, what they've done, and that says, where are those 1,900 Joshua trees?
Yeah.
So what they've done with this new
out there.
plan,
Yeah, where are they?
well, what they've done with this new plan is that they consider clones a Joshua tree, and clones as big as 2 inches as Joshua trees. I've asked the engineer, how did you find those 2-inch clones? One Joshua tree that was counted as 1 could have been 30. That's counted as 30 Joshua trees. They were monitored by Fish and Game on how they performed their evaluation, and there is a cost for each of those clones. We are going to move forward in submitting the plan for review, but there is an opportunity to meet with Fish and Game to discuss some mitigation. Now, we're going to protect as much Joshua trees as we can, is what we first anticipated in this design. And when we're showing them that, there might be some play here and there with them. As stated, a Joshua tree would have cost us $240. per to mitigate. Add that to the 1,900. That would be the mitigation cost. Still less than what it was prior, but nothing that we anticipated when we rescinded our previous plan. But there is an opportunity for us to discuss this with Fish and Game, and they might be able to give us let's just say a break on that. There is I believe it's Assemblyman or a representative from Lancaster, Palmdale area, Correal, and he's putting a new bill to kind of work with the existing Western Joshua Tree Conservation Plan on doing something, because it's halting development in Palmdale, in LA County.
I can imagine.
And there's a lot of support. Of course, those that are not supporting it are the ones that are wanting to protect the Joshua Tree. But it's gaining steam. I don't know what this is going to look like. We kind of read into it a little bit. It may come in play when we break ground, when we have to deal with the Joshua trees, but it's always something new. And with that, I think I covered the 14 acres and the Civic Center. It's fun. It really is.
What was the time, could you refresh me on it's been a long time, the time frame for us to at least start spending some of the money that we had borrowed?
So with the Civic Center, we still are focused with September as far as going out to bid. The way the schedule was prior with FEMA and their process, it was September. So then that means that gives us about 3 months to kind of prepare the RFP and get it out for publication and solicitation. So there's a lot of little things here and there that we have to complete before we get to that point. But that was our goal. So we said September, October. So, but it could be December. So we're giving ourselves a couple months of leeway. It's all working on the FEMA plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
FEMA time.
Yeah, the FEMA and the $2 million grant funding for this project, it kind of threw us for a loop. So we're working as much as we could to accommodate them and to get that grant money. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Cardenas? No. All right. Thank you, Mr. Cardenas. Move on to committee reports and comments. Engineering Committee, Director Roberts.
Engineering committee met, went through the water system, pumps, repairs, wells. The new well is working. I think actually the district's going to save quite a bit of electric cost. You know, with that well online, because it's more efficient than a lot of the smaller wells. The minutes are in the meeting. Did you have any other comment?
We went over the idea of the meter assistance program. Right? That was the last meeting? Yes, thank you. I'm like, he's looking at me like, what?
Yeah.
Just, and so that was very interesting and more to come.
Yeah, that was just a discussion,
Right.
and then will be brought back.
Correct.
Thank you. And then Finance Committee, Mr. Director Roberts.
Finance Committee met. We went through disbursements and quarterly financials. Solar is actually in the black a little bit.
That was good to see.
Anything else?
No, it was just great to see the solar is in the black and we're looking better financially.
Yes, looks better.
And then Legislative Committee, Director Snyder.
Yeah, we meet on June 11th. So the report.
Parks, Recreation, and Street Lighting Commissioner, Director Kuyaba.
We met and we just went over the current upcoming activities for the summer. Looks like there's lots of cool stuff going on for kids, archery, painting, baking, our traditional movies in the park, always a big hit. We also went over the Piñon Hills Community Center and that open house that they had, kind of a little bit of feedback from the community and what our next steps are to start making that place nice and pretty.
Yes.
We do have a lot of great events for the community for the size of district that we are.
Yeah.
And then Waste and Recycling Committee, we met last week. We got an update on uniform collection, and we reviewed some changes to the draft franchise agreement. We'll move on to staff and general managers report. Are there any staff reports that is not in the agenda materials? Nope. And director's report. Director Roberts.
I have nothing to add.
Director Kuyabov.
Nothing to add?
Director Snyder.
Yeah, I attended the Aqua Conference, Association of California Water Agencies, and it was a good conference. We had a surprise visit from the governor there at one of the sessions, and they talked about his commitment to doing something with the water infrastructure up in the Bay Delta area. So we'll see if his promises come to fruition. And that's all I had to report.
I have nothing to report. And move on to item 10, correspondence and information. Ms. Sevi.
So we do have a new flyer that's going out in our CR and our bills and also to our customers that addresses the most common calls that we have been getting. Basically, are you confused about solid waste collection? So hopefully people read it and they get their information from here and not Facebook.
That's this one?
Yes. Yeah, it has lots of information. We're going to update the website with this information as well. And then just a reminder, our CCR is available electronically on our website. And as Director Kuyava was pointing out, we have all of our summer activity flyers in here. And lots of other interesting items, so. Definitely about to be summer. We can tell event signups are happening on Eventbrite, and everybody's excited for all of that.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for Ms. Sevi on the information?
No, just the CCRs, the Consumer Conference Reports. So for those that might be watching online, it's your annual water quality record for the district and how well we performed up against state and federal standards. That's all I had.
And then review of action items. Were there any prior meeting action items?
There were none?
Okay, are there any current meeting action items?
There are none.
Okay. Set the agenda for the next meeting. Do any members of the board have any items you'd like to add to the agenda? Nope. Okay. That being said, we will adjourn the meeting at 5:19.